welcome to the FilmPulse.net podcast. This is episode number 94. My name is Adam. Today with me we have Kevin. How are you, Kevin?
All types of awful.
Why is that?
I just feel terrible.
Nice. That sucks.
Just feel terrible.
That sucks. We'll get through this. We'll get through it. We'll get through it together. Today we'll be kicking things off with an interview with Kathleen Hanna, singer of the legendary punk group Bikini Kill, and talk about the upcoming documentary The Punk Singer. Then we'll be going over some of what we've been watching before jumping into a feature review of The Hunger Games: Catching Fire. And finally we'll be covering this week's movie predictions, new on video on demand and DVD and Blu-ray releases. First up, let's have a conversation with singer-songwriter, activist Kathleen Hanna and talk about the upcoming film The Punk Singer. How did the idea of making this documentary come about? Was it your idea? Were you approached?
Sydney approached me. Definitely was not my idea, and not something that at first I was interested in doing.
Were you hesitant to sign off on doing this? Because this film does kind of reveal a lot of aspects of your personal life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about that. I mean, I think part of the reason why it's important to me to show my personal life when I've typically been like, oh, don't talk to me about that. And part of it is like, I don't want to talk about my personal life because I'm a woman. And as a woman, as a woman in the public eye, somewhat in the public eye at least, there's a tendency for people to only ask you about your personal life. So I get really nervous, I don't want to open that Pandora's box. Because if I do, then everybody will be like, all you are is the girl who smells like Teen Spirit. All you are is married to Beastie Boy Adam Horovitz. And that hasn't happened. In most of my interviews and stuff, it's been actually really amazing that I've opened up my personal life and people are still treating me like I'm an artist. But I feel like it was important to show me as a three-dimensional person who's fallible. Because, once you become kind of, a certain age, and I'm in a very niche kind of, feminist scene that isn't huge or whatever, and people are like, you're a goddess, or, people either love me or hate me, and that's totally fine. And I'm sure some people are just completely indifferent, but the people who, say I'm a goddess, it, kind of hurts my feelings, because I'm like, I'm not a goddess, I'm just like you, I'm like, person who's trying to navigate themselves through this kind of sexist landscape. And I feel like I wanted to open up about my life partially because I was sick of hearing that I was a goddess, because I think that the film shows I'm not.
Well, I think that also kind of just speaks with your influence, and the music that you made was kind of groundbreaking for the time. But I kind of want to talk about, in the film, like I mentioned, it does go into your personal life, but it also gets into a lot about the message that you brought to people through your music. And while the Riot Girl ethos can still be seen today in groups like Pussy Riot, it seems like bands in the U.S. like Bikini Kill or Bratmobile aren't as prevalent as they used to be. Do you find that to be the case, or do you think the message is still there, just in other genres of music?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's tons of great bands who are, doing really interesting stuff that, relates back to what other female performers have done. I really love Priest. I really love Hot Fruit. I really love, Grimes, Lords, Churches. I love Janelle Monáe, who's more of a pop star than I am, but her interviews are always great, and her music is completely confusing and confounding, and awesome. So I think there's a lot of great stuff happening. So I don't really think, there needs to be a Bikini Kill Part 2. I think there's definitely feminism afoot. I think we all feel it, and we all know that women are fighting back in Texas and in other places that our rights are being eroded. This Tea Party stuff has got to stop.
Yeah, I agree. I watched that whole Texas thing. They were streaming it live online. I watched the entire thing. It was just fascinating to see that unfold. So I grew up in the 90s punk scene, and I think it's interesting how the scene kind of evolved. As the scene evolved, your music made a transition as well. after the end of Bikini Kill, and you moved into slightly, I would say maybe slightly more upbeat music. But did the changing climate of the punk scene during this time influence you to move away from like the more aggressive style that made up Bikini Kill, or is that just kind of where you were in your personal life?
It's a great question. I mean, it's kind of twofold. The first part is that like my voice was getting trashed. The way I was singing in Bikini Kill every night, like every song totally full on, barely any space for bass. I mean, the way I wrote songs in that band was for the first couple records really stupid. Like there's just too much of me. like take a break, okay? Like we could have a musical break at some point in this song and not hear your voice. But so because I didn't write a lot of spaces into what I was doing, I was singing athletically a lot, and I was trashing my voice, and so I wanted to learn different ways to sing so that I could survive out on the road and not keep losing my voice and damaging myself. And then the other thing is, you know, when you charge $5 for shows and you play punk shows, as opposed to charging $12 and having a dance show like a Tigre show, you know, there wasn't violence. I did have a glass of wine thrown at my head once, but I saw it coming and I moved. But other than that, like there wasn't a lot of the violence at the Tigre shows. It was like a fucking love fest. So that's another reason why I moved into more dancey, you know, upbeat music, is because I was sick of the violence. I was sick of, you know, worrying if someone was going to shoot me. Like it just really was ratcheting up for my band to the point where, you know, despite all the internal difficulties that we had as people and all that stuff, I just don't know if I could have continued on with how much, you know, violence had been put towards me. It just started getting really scary.
Yeah, and I think that did kind of come to a head during that time when like hardcore was on the rise, and it was just it would just get crazy at some of those shows.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like I think Toby said in the movie, it's like we played bowling alleys with no security, and there are all these guys who were like who totally hated us. So it was like, and what's funny is that now, you know, and it's a lot of journalists too who are saying like, oh, I was at those shows and I would always stand in the back because, you know, the girls wanted to stand up front and watch you guys play, and you would say girls to the front, or I knew that was a Bikini Kill thing. And I never met all the cool boys because they were in the back of the room. All I heard was the guys, you know, saying, just shut up and play. And so it's been interesting as someone who's 45 to have people, you know, these guys come up to me and be like, I always supported what you did. I thought it was really cool because I didn't realize how much male support was out there for our band. And I think that's great.
Speaking of male support, in recent years, I've heard other bands doing covers of some of your songs, some of Bikini Kill songs, and some of them have had male vocalists. I was wondering what your thoughts were on having a man do a cover of a Bikini Kill song. Does that seem like a weird concept to you, or is
I mean, if
cool?
it's a gay man, I think it would make a little bit more sense than if it was a straight man. But I mean, whatever, people can do whatever they want. I haven't really heard any. I mean, I'm interested to know what song. I haven't, you know, I don't know. I haven't done that particular internet search, but I mean, if it was certain songs and if it was a really crappy boy band, I could probably, you know, reach inside myself deeply and get mad about it. But there's just too many more important things in the world. Like we were just talking about what's going on in Texas. Like I don't really care what some dudes do on YouTube.
So in the film alludes to the fact that your illness was something of a mystery to people. Was this something that you were purposely keeping to yourself, and if so, why was that?
Well, I didn't tell my wider circle of friends for a really long time. I think my you know, my kind of core group of friends and my bandmates like knew something was wrong, but they didn't know what it was, and I think that's reflected in the film, and that really is the way it happened. But I also didn't know what was wrong, so it was really hard to tell people. You know, besides my bandmates, like my current bandmates in the Julie Ruin, we were writing the record and I still didn't have a diagnosis, and I was constantly going to specialists and coming in with a different diagnosis every day, you know, every week. saying, oh, somebody told me I had Crohn's disease. Oh, somebody told me I had degenerative arthritis or like whatever. It wasn't a conscious decision not to tell anybody. It's not like I'm, I'm trying to think of, I'm not Miley Cyrus and everybody's not banging down my door to find out every last thing that's going on with me. You know what I mean? It's like, I told my friends at my birthday when I had a birthday cake shaped like a tick. And when I cut into it, like fake blood spurted everywhere. And that's how my friends found out. They asked why I had a tick cake. And I told everybody I had Lyme disease. And it was a really bad idea because then I spent my birthday talking about Lyme disease. Happy birthday to me!
That sounds like an amazing idea to me. Well, it's funny that you mentioned Miley Cyrus because my final question happens to be about Miley Cyrus. I read an article recently that quoted her as saying, "I'm one of the biggest feminists." And I was wondering if you could just comment on that.
I just, when the word feminist gets brought up by somebody who everybody's watching, it means that people are going on the internet and they're typing in what it does feminism mean. And that makes me happy because I think about, if I was 9 years old and I was a Miley Cyrus fan, I am actually a Miley Cyrus fan of two songs. I really like Party in the USA and I really like The Climb. And my friend actually did a whole show based on Miley Cyrus. He's a performance artist named Neil Medlin. So he should be the one asking or being asked this question. But, I just imagine being 9 years old and loving those songs or loving Hannah Montana and being like, whoa, what's feminism? And then ending up, reading something about, domestic violence and being like, that happens in other people's houses because that's happening in my house. I can get help for that. There's going to be at least one person that happens for because she used that word. So whether I like her other art or not, or whether I agree with every artistic decision she makes is beyond the point. I think the fact that she said that word and has such a large platform is only going to do good. And I'm not the feminist police, so I can't say if she's a feminist or not because that's up to her.
One quick thing, is the Julie Ruin touring right now? Are they doing shows?
Yeah, well, we're just playing in Miami on December 6th, and then we're going to Australia in January. And then starting in April, we're going to be touring like the States and Europe all through spring and summer. So, yes, we will be touring in the spring and summer. We don't want to tour too much in the winter because it's holidays and it's freezing.
Right. All right. Well, thank you very much for taking some time to talk with me.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks again, Kathleen. The Punk Singer is hitting theaters in limited release November 29th. So check that out if it's playing in your area. Let's talk about some of what we've been watching. I'll kick it off this week.
What do you got?
I saw a bunch of docs this week.
Oh, that sounds like the worst week ever.
Actually, they were all fairly decent. I started it with Dear Mr. Watterson, the Calvin and Hobbes documentary.
Ooh. I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, my review, I did write a review for this. It's up on the Examiner. First of all, let me just say I liked it. I did have some big problems with it, though.
Yeah. All right.
Mostly because the director, he injects himself into the movie way too much. I
love when that happens.
So part of it is looking at the history of Calvin and Hobbes and the impact of Calvin and Hobbes and talking to other cartoonists that were influenced by Calvin and Hobbes, and all that stuff is really interesting. But there's this kind of side thing that they will cut back to every now and then where the director, Joel Schroeder, kind of goes on this own little journey where he goes back to his childhood home and looks at the walls where he would post up the strips that he would cut out of the paper, and then he goes to Bill Watterson's hometown and kind of explores around there, and then he goes to this archive where he finds the original prints of Calvin and Hobbes and looks at those, and it's all just really boring, and you're just like, I'm sorry, but we just don't care about this dude's journey. I don't know him, and it's not that interesting. I would rather just watch a straight up talking head documentary about the history and the impact of Calvin and Hobbes. Like
Yeah,
that's all I want.
it sounds like self-absorbed.
It
Like he's
is.
just like, I have to show you my journey
Yeah, it
of how
is.
much I loved Calvin and Hobbes. So who gives a shit?
It almost feels like
Everyone loves
yeah,
Calvin and Hobbes.
exactly. And it just kind of feels like filler. But that stuff aside, it is really interesting. They do get into some things that I never really thought about, like when they talk about layout and like how much space you have on a page and how he was limited in what he could put on the page and things like that, which I found to be really interesting. They also talk about merchandising and how the fact that he refused to ever sign off on any kind of merchandising for Calvin and Hobbes. Like there to this day there is no
Yeah,
licensed Calvin and Hobbes merchandise.
which thank God.
Right, exactly. And they actually talked about how there's kind of two ways of looking at that. There's the good, which is it doesn't saturate. You're not completely saturating the market with Calvin and Hobbes stuff. It kind of keeps it a mystery almost, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, it keeps it special.
Yeah, it does. And but on the other hand, you know, what would have been the harm in licensing a Hobbes plush toy, you know, for little kids? Like I'm not sure that there'd be any harm in that, but so that's interesting and there's
Teach your kids to make their own. Just make your own Hobbs plush toy.
and that's what people did.
That, that,
Hence the stickers of Calvin pissing on
oh,
different
fuck.
items.
God.
And they do talk about that.
That is just,
But overall, it's a very lighthearted film. It made me think about how much I used to still love Calvin and Hobbes.
Kevin Hobbs is the greatest thing that ever happened.
And it just made me feel very nostalgic. And
I remember it. I forget what house it was, but my mom let me draw on my walls, so I just covered my walls in Calvin and Hobbes.
nice.
It just drew Calvin and Hobbes all over my wall. It was awesome.
Yeah, and they do talk to a lot of people they talk to other comic strip artists, but they also talk to just fans and stuff. So that was interesting.
Well, now I feel bad because they didn't talk to me.
I
Why
guess
didn't
you
they
just
talk?
weren't a big enough fan.
That hurts.
Yeah.
That
And
hurts.
they also get into the concept of high art versus low art, because this is something that like Bill Watterson was always kind of battling against, because I guess he was kind of offended because comic strip artists are never regarded the same as artists that are featured in galleries and that type of thing,
Yeah.
which is shouldn't be the case. And I mean, what defines low art versus high art? And they talk about how it's due to the medium, you know, the fact that their
Yeah.
art is made readily available in a newspaper, that somehow relegates it down to low art, which
Yeah.
when
Because it sort of like diminishes it.
but when you look at
So-
and when you look at Calvin and Hobbes, you're just like, how can this not be considered, you know, high art? Because
It-
some of the strips that you see, you're just like, holy shit, there's just so much, there's so many layers and so much depth. And it's interesting because a lot of those strips I haven't seen since I was a little kid. So when they show them in the movie, when you see them again as an adult, you're just like, holy crap. Because there's like all this subtext that you just miss
Oh yeah,
when you're a kid.
that's the number one thing about Calvin and Hobbes that is so amazing, is that like when I read it as a kid, you just see it as, you know, a kid and his pet tiger,
Right.
and it's amazing and it's awesome. And then when you go back and read them now, there's all this stuff in there that you didn't realize when you were a kid because you didn't have the mental fortitude to understand what was going on, all the subtext and the topics that he discusses and everything.
Yeah. I mean,
So it's like it completely changes,
yeah.
and you can enjoy it both ways. It's, oh my God, I just want to read Calvin and Hobbes now. Damn
Yeah.
it. Fuck.
It's funny because after this, they have a box set that's the complete Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, I want that
And
one.
I was
man.
like looking at it on Amazon. I'm like, all right, this is gonna happen. I didn't
I
order
know.
it, but
I still because I have all of the single ones,
Mm-hmm.
from over the years, because like that was like my family's thing. Like my dad, Calvin and Hobbes is like the greatest thing ever to him, and my grandpa. So we have like all the books, but I do want to get that box set.
Yeah, I want the box. I have a few of the books still. I don't have all of them. My family was more of a Gary Larson.
I do remember, yeah.
We had Gary Larson books everywhere, but
Also, your dad was into the what was the one called? Oh, damn it! Now I can't remember.
he was into
Grown
early Matt Groening too.
Yeah, what was the one?
Something
He had
it was like something hell, right?
yeah, damn it. Because I remember reading those; they were awesome.
Yeah, I still have all the early Matt Groening stuff. But anyway, if you're a fan of Calvin and Hobbes, which I'm sure anybody listening is, because
If you're not, you're the devil.
yeah, I don't know
You're the
anybody
devil.
I
You
don't
have to
know
be.
anybody that doesn't like Calvin and Hobbes. I would recommend checking it out. It is a very nostalgic movie, and they even talk about the Scholastic Book Club.
Yes.
Going picking up that's where I got my first Calvin and Hobbes book, was at the Scholastic Book Fair when it came to our school. So
The
yeah.
book fair was the greatest thing
Oh
ever
my god, I
as a
loved it.
child.
I loved
Life,
it.
it's called Life in Hell.
Life in Hell.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I light recommend for me. The next movie I saw was called Necessary Evil: Supervillains of DC Comics, and this is just exactly what the title says. It's a documentary about the the art of the villain in DC Comics. So it kind of gets into the psychology of the villain, what makes a villain, the dynamic between a hero and a villain, and how all heroes need a villain and all villains need a hero. And sort of they go over specific villains, a lot of them actually, and they talk about like what makes this person a supervillain, what makes them tick, the interesting aspects about each villain. And it's all very cool, but near the end, as the film progresses, at least I started to feel like this is kind of just an advertisement for DC Comics. And by the end, they're like, oh, we got big things coming up in DC. And then they started talking about the upcoming things that they have planned and
Which
stuff.
doesn't seem to fit into what the film's about.
And it just made me think, like, what is this? Like, this is just a big, giant advertisement for DC Comics. Like, they started showing clips of the Batman Arkham Origins video game. They were showing
God.
clips of the movies. And it all felt very kind of like marketing. Like, it's all big marketing ploy. And maybe
Yeah,
that's
this sounds terrible.
maybe that's just me kind
No,
of.
it's not. No, it sounds exactly like a marketing ploy because they're trying to, they got to do something. Marvel's killing them.
It's true. But the beginning, I mean, like the first 3/4 of the movie was actually pretty interesting. And they talk to a lot of interesting people like Jim Lee, Zack Snyder, Guillermo del Toro, a lot of big name people in the comic book world like Jeff Johns. But it's tough because it's a tough recommend because of this whole kind of advertising thing that they do towards the end. At least that's the way it felt to me. I haven't read any other reviews, but it felt like it shouldn't be a standalone movie, that this should be a special feature on a Blu-ray.
Yeah, it does. It does sound like a special feature.
I mean, it's full length, but it still felt like something that should be a special feature. So that's a tough recommend. I mean, if you're really into the DC villains, which I will agree that they do have the best villains. Their villains are better than Marvel's, but
Yeah,
it's still a tough one to actually recommend.
it doesn't sound fun at all.
No.
It sounds like work. It sounds like a homework assignment.
They do get into some interesting ideas and stuff, but most of it is stuff that you already know, you know.
Yeah.
Then I saw The Punk Singer, which is a documentary about the life of Kathleen Hanna, who we just heard. I really enjoyed this. Like, I didn't know a whole lot about Bikini Kill. I mean, I've heard their music, obviously, but I never really knew the whole backstory and stuff, and so it was pretty interesting to see. I like rock docs, so I was pretty much enjoying this the whole way through. I don't have a whole lot else to say about it. I would say if you are a fan of anything that Kathleen Hanna's involved in, be it Bikini Kill or Tigre or the Julie Ruin or any of the other projects that she's been involved with, I'd say check it out. It's solid. I think we'll have a full review for that later this week. Were you a fan of Bikini Kill?
I'm not really a huge fan. I like some stuff, but it's just didn't affect me greatly.
Gotcha.
It was just, like I listened to it, I'm like, this isn't too bad.
Gotcha.
So I am not going to see this.
You do get to see a lot of footage with Ad Rock from Beastie Boys, who is her husband.
Yeah.
He's in it a lot. They do show a lot of it's just kind of like archive footage and stuff like that, but they do jump to now and do some more like cinema verite style stuff. Not a whole lot though. A lot of it's just like archive footage and interviews. They interview a lot of people like Joan Jett and what's her name from Portlandia, Carrie
Brownstein.
Yeah, they interview her and a bunch of other people from bands. It's worth a watch.
Worth a watch.
Then I saw a movie called Cut to Black, which was submitted to us a while back, but we are a little back ordered right now.
A little behind?
Yeah. We got like a stockpile to get through, so I'm just getting to it now, but I actually like this quite a bit. This is a black and white neo-noir film about a disgraced cop who he's dying. I think he has cancer. I don't know if they ever directly say what he has, but he is dying, and he agrees to do this one last job that involves catching a stalker for a councilman, and it kind of evolves into this very intricate, complex, twisted like conspiracy involving murder, and it's actually quite good. Like I was really surprised. This is a micro budget film shot on black and white. Looks really good. Acting is not great, but the dialogue, the script, I was so impressed by the script in this movie. Like, it's smart, it's really snappy, and it feels like a genuine noir.
Yeah.
So I recommend checking this one out. Just don't expect a lot. Like, don't go into it thinking that it's going to be LA Confidential or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it is a micro-budget film, so it does have, unfortunately, some of those pitfalls, but I still think it's worth checking out.
Lower your expectations.
Yeah, I have a full review for that up on the site, too. Then I saw Ms. 45, which was my Grindhouse Weekly pick. Yeah, I picked this because Draft House Films is actually re-releasing this. They acquired the rights to this, and they're going to be putting it back out in theaters December 18th, I believe.
Which the poster for it's awesome as shit.
Yeah. This is directed by Abel Ferrara. This is his second film. I did talk about his first film, Driller Killer.
That's right. Driller Killer.
Did talk about that previously. This is a rape revenge film about a mute seamstress who is brutalized not once but twice. So she's going home from work, and a guy pops out of an alley and grabs her. It's actually, the guy is played by Abel Ferrara. Rapes her in an alley. Then she goes home. Someone breaks into her house, holds her up at gunpoint, rapes her again. And
that is a terrible day.
Yeah. And she basically decides she's fed up, and she pretty much just kills every man she sees after that. Which,
good for her.
Which is kind of interesting because it's not like, I mean, clearly this is a riff off of Taxi Driver. It's like a female version of Taxi Driver. Mm-hmm. But the difference is she just kills people for no reason. Like, there's this scene where there's a boyfriend and girlfriend and they're kissing each other out on the street, and they leave, and she follows the guy, and she is going to kill him just because he was kissing his girlfriend. So like she
Unbelievable.
she kills people for no reason.
For no reason. What an asshole.
Not only that, but either she has the worst luck in the world, or New York City in 1981 was the most dangerous place in the entire world, because it's like every single time she goes outside, some dude's trying to rape her. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like every man in New York City is trying to attack her, and they're all sleazeballs.
Oh, God.
It's ridiculous. It's very violent. This is actually rated X.
Is it better than 444 Last Day on Earth?
Yeah, it's better than that. It's way better than that.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
But
does
see,
it?
I still didn't like this very much. Like, it's kind of a novelty watch. Like, it's one of these, it's
I
similar.
was gonna say, it sounds like it's fun for like a couple minutes, and then you're like, all right.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. It's just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's just so illogical. Like, this wouldn't happen in real life. Same with the Driller Killer. It's just so unbelievable and over the top. One other thing I wanted to mention is the music in this is some of the worst music I've ever heard in a movie. It's this
Yeah.
it's this nonstop screeching saxophone that is
Oh yeah. That
it
sounds
is
amazing.
so awful. And it happens like, I don't know, 20 times throughout the movie.
That's entirely too often.
It's so awful. And there's a big finale at the end at a Halloween party, and they're playing the screeching saxophone, but they keep cutting to a guy playing the trumpet. Like he's the one playing the music, but it's clearly a saxophone, and that guy is playing the trumpet. And that really bothered me.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
I haven't seen a lot of Abel Ferrara's stuff, but I feel like I want to watch some of his later stuff just to see. Like I've actually never seen King of New York or the original Bad Lieutenant.
What? I love King of New York.
Yeah,
It's a
see,
great film.
I haven't seen that, so I need to watch that just so I can say, okay,
I find him to be like, he's either absolutely terrible or fantastic.
and were there any other
I don't know if
ones?
I've ever seen a film like in between of his. I think I've only seen two, honestly.
Well, I've seen 3 now with Driller Killer, 444, and Ms. 45, and I didn't like any of them. So I don't know. We'll see. I do want to see King of New York because that's on my list of shame. I rewatched Freddy vs. Jason last night. This is the final one in my Nightmare on Elm Street marathon.
I
Took me a
I
while
just
to see this last one.
I just I have this image of you getting stuck in a K-hole, and like that's all you watch for the rest of your life until you die. Just like every week you just come back and you're like, I watched Nightmare on Elm Street 4. I'm like, dude, you watched that like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
It seems like this has been going on for like 4 months.
all that's left is for me to finish watching the Never
Oh
Sleep Again
God.
documentary. That's it.
It's,
Well, okay, so I started watching Freddy vs. Jason a few weeks ago, and I didn't finish it because I don't like that movie at all, and I remembered how much I hated it. So it took me a while to want to finish it, but I did, and it's still bad. I still hate it. That's all I'll say about it. It's just not even worth my
still
breath.
hates it.
Yeah. That's all I got other than Hunger Games.
Oh, Hunger Games. Well, I started the week out watching a Hungarian animated film called, I have no idea how to pronounce this, for her Lofia? Maybe.
Sure, we'll go with
Not
it.
sure. But holy shit, was this amazing. It's from 1981 by Marcel Jankovic. And just the animation style alone is enough to just watch this. And for whatever reason, it just automatically reminded me of
I was
Thundercats.
just gonna say the image that I'm seeing here looks like Thundercats.
Yeah, like it automatically reminded me of Thundercats, which then in turn made me turn into like a 6-year-old and just love every single minute of it. It's just like a little kid again. It was fantastic. It's got um sort of like a Hungarian folk tale type story. It's just like an adventure yarn. And it's great because on one level, if you just look at it base, like at the base level, it's just a good time. It's just a fun adventure folktale story. And it's fantastic. And the all the colors, the images, everything's amazing. And then on the other hand is there's so much symbolism and imagery and just everything that goes into it that gives it this depth that you can look into it deeper. But it's great because it works on both of those levels. So I loved every single moment of it. And the crazy thing is just the colors alone. Like, and everything's constantly moving and shifting
Hmm.
and just like I don't it's just unbelievable. I've never seen animation like this before in my life. There's nothing like it. There's no other film to like compare it to. I can't I don't know how to explain it to you.
Dr.
It's
Katz.
just what Dr. Cat it doesn't come close to
I
Dr.
was just
Katz.
kidding. I was just
It's
saying that
just
because everything moves in Dr. Katz.
this is a different kind of moving. This isn't just like squiggly cheap animation. It's just, I mean, the colors too. I'm almost sure he uses every single color ever. And the story is just a tree shaker. He's born from a white horse, and he pops out as a horse and then turns into a man just out of nowhere. So that's bizarre. And he's told by a spirit in the forest that he's got to drink horse milk for 7 years. That's how he gets strong. So he does that for 7 years. And then he goes back to the spirit and he's like, yeah, do that again for another 7 years. So then he goes back, drinks more horse milk, pretty much just sucks his mother dry. And she ends up dying after the 14 years of drinking horse milk. So he literally kills his mother. And his mother tells him this story, the underworld and these stupid women princesses opened up like the gates of hell. I mean, they were told don't open these gates because it's hell. Don't do that, please. And the first thing that they do is open the gates of hell and ruin everything. So Tree Shaker finds his two brothers, and I forget their name. One is like Iron Bender. I forget what the other guy's name is. Something with stone. And they go to the underworld. Well, the Tree Shaker goes because his brothers are fucking idiots and can't do anything. And Tree Shaker just does everything, essentially. He just goes to the underworld, fights three boss. It's like three boss battles, which is awesome. The first one is like the odd thing is they call them dragons, but they're not dragons at all. Like the first one's is a golem, a three-headed golem.
Hmm.
So I don't know how that's a dragon. The second one's a tank, which I'm not sure how that's a dragon. And then the third one is like this 12-headed like shifting city, which is odd. It's like a skyscraper. It's very bizarre. But it's pretty much just three boss battles, and they're awesome. And Tree Shaker's amazing. And one of the other best things about this is number one, they don't, like I said, they don't understand what dragons are. And number two, they have this really weird interpretation of wrestling. Like they just decide to wrestle to like settle the score or to figure out who's better. And their wrestling is they just stand facing each other. One guy picks the other one up and throws him into the ground. Just picks him up by like his hips and just throws him feet first into the ground, like straight down. And then the other guy will do it back, and it's whoever gets thrown into the ground the furthest. That's who wins. So apparently that's Hungarian wrestling.
I'd like to see that in real life.
Yes, I would love to see it in real life. I wonder if there's probably videos on YouTube, which is now that I say that, that's exactly what I'm going to do as soon as we're done recording. As soon as we're done. And one of my favorite things too is for whatever reason the three castles they're always rotating and they're spinning around, and he walks up to them and yells out, "Castle, stop rotating or I'll smash you." And then the castle stops. Well, I have to admit, I saw this on YouTube. Okay. So, and there wasn't subtitles. You had to use the closed caption
Right.
YouTube.
I was actually watching this while you were talking about it.
So, I don't, it could be just that the subtitles are completely off base and make it like add this level of humor to it that's not actually there in the first place. But whatever. It's awesome. It's a great time. And like I said, the check it out for the animation. I mean, I really don't know what to compare it to give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. Like everything's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Everything like looks flame-like. It's amazing.
Looks like a lot of watercolors.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I've never seen animation like this, and just the and he hand draws all of this. Marcel Jankovic, he does all the work. Like the movie, his latest movie that came out in 2012, he's been working on it for 20 years. So he's been animating it for 20 years.
Yikes.
So it's just, I mean, the level that this guy is working on is something that you haven't seen before. It's unbelievable. Highly recommend it. This is a 10 out of 10 for me. I lost my shit. Followed it up with a movie called Fill the Void, which is apparently the first movie made by a ultra-Orthodox Jewish woman. So it has that interesting factoid going for it. The movie itself is meh. Number one, it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous film to look at. And it's slightly interesting in the fact that I don't know anything about, Jewish traditions or their religion.
Mm-hmm.
And this film is pretty much all about like arranged marriages. And one of the early scenes is them like what's it called? Purim? Having like a Purim celebration, which Purim sounds, the way that they show it to you sounds awesome for everyone except for the guy that has to do Purim. Because what they do is they just sit at a table and he has $3,000 on him. People come up to him, tell him what's wrong with their lives, and then he gives them money and then they leave. So for the people that are getting money, it sounds like the best day ever. And for him, the guy giving away the money, it sounds like the worst day ever. So it seems really lopsided, Purim. So it's interesting in that aspect that I get to see all these things, and it's pretty enlightening to see how they live their lives and the traditions and everything. But the story itself it's like a 18, 19-year-old woman who her sister dies during childbirth. So her husband is now a widower / single father caring for this child, and her mother decides to, let's have the younger sister. We'll arrange to have her married to her recently deceased sister's husband. And that way the baby stays nearby and everyone's happy. Because the only other offer that this guy's gotten is from a woman in Belgium, so he would have to move to Belgium and she never gets to see her grandchild again. So that's the story. That's the crux of it. And what happens is the girl says no, and then she says yes, and then she backs out. And then she says yes, and then she says no, and then she says yes again, and you just don't really care anymore because that's all the film is for like an hour and a half. It's just her flip-flopping back and forth. Yeah, I mean, it's just her struggling with this decision, which the first or second time around, you're like, oh yeah, this is gripping. It's very emotional. This is great. And then the third time around, and then the fourth time around, you're just like, oh my God, would you just fucking decide so people can move on with their lives? Because this is just getting out of control. It's out of hand, Adam.
I think I have a screener for this. Is this one that we got a screener for the Spirit Awards?
It's weird that you say that because I actually thought the exact same thing, but we didn't. I don't know why.
Well, what did we...
Unless I lost that disc, but I thought for sure that we did get a screener for this.
What? Yeah, because there was one. I'm pretty sure it was this one. There was one movie I didn't see for the Spirit Awards that we got a screener for.
It was probably this one.
And I'm pretty sure it was this one. I know that it was about Orthodox Jews. I know that for a fact.
Then it was this one.
But I don't know if there was
I lost that screener because I was looking for it because I'm pretty sure I have this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we got this.
So, yeah, I mean, the filmmaking itself is great. Like, the structure of it, the storytelling, the look of it, the way that she frames her shots, everything that she does is fantastic. It's just that the story just becomes so repetitive after a while. It just really hurts the film overall. I mean, you just completely lose I mean, just interest. Anything. You're just like, oh my God, get over it. Just fucking move on, please. So I think I can't quite remember, but I think it was like an hour and 45 minutes, something like that, which is entirely too long.
Mm.
Because it just gets stuck. Like the needle starts skipping on the story, and it just keeps replaying and replaying. And you're just like, oh my God, move on to something else, please.
Hmm.
So it's like a light recommend, just because it's, interesting to see the Orthodox Jewish traditions and everything.
Fill the Void, is that what, available on Netflix or something?
I don't think so. Well, probably because I got the disc in the mail, it'll become Play Instant probably 2 days
Oh,
later,
okay.
which always seems to happen for some reason with Netflix. I get the disc and then they make it Play Instant. I think they do it just to piss me
They
off.
know. They know.
I know they know. And I think only one other film that I watched, which this one is 168 minutes long, which I did not know going into. And that is the new film from, well, not the newest film, from Xavier Dolan, Lawrence anyways, because his newest one is Tom at the Farm, which I won't get to see for 3 years.
Hmm.
Yeah. So this is my first venture into Xavier Dolan, who I always see is he's like listed as like a wonderkin because he's like 24 years old and he's already made like 5 films. Asshole. And this is a this came out earlier this year, and it's a epic drama about a school teacher slash writer who just finally lets it out that he wants to be a woman. He doesn't want to be a man anymore. He wants to be a woman, and it sort of charts his relationship with his girlfriend at the time, and they go through the whole thing, and then his relationship with his parents, his relationship at work, how people treat him. He sort of goes through everything, and then him and his girlfriend break up, and they go their separate ways, and then they come back together. And just at 168 minutes, I like going into it, I'm like, oh shit, are you kidding me? I mean, that just seems entirely too long. And it seems like I keep doing this to myself, where I'm
Yeah.
always watching long films for some reason. But I have to say that this film is unbelievable. And I understand why people are making such a big deal out of Xavier Dolan, because this is amazing. I think it's gonna be at the top of my top 10 of the year. It's easily one of the year's best films.
You sure it came out this year?
I'm pretty sure it did, because I remember that I didn't get a chance to see it when we did the halfway list that we did.
Mm.
But it played like a shit ton of film festivals. Yeah, it came out in June after playing 48 different film festivals. It's played film festivals I've never even heard before. There's a lot of film
Oh,
festivals.
yeah.
Ridiculous. But yeah, I just finished this before we started recording. Because it felt like it took me 4 days to watch the thing. It was like Century of Birthing all over again, but much better than that Lav Diaz piece of shit. And it's fantastic. The performances, the acting in this film is some of the best I've seen this year. Just the way that everything is staged, like their fights that they have, just oh man, I mean it's amazing. Just the performances and the camera work. I highly recommend Lawrence anyways.
Cool.
I mean, you got to be comfortable with watching a film about transgender people, which you should be. I mean, it's 2013. Jesus.
I'm comfortable with it.
Get over it.
I'm comfortable with it. I might check this out.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
Cool.
One of the year's best, easily. And now I'm super excited I was already excited for Tom at the Farm, but I can't wait now. And the other thing that I want to mention is Xavier Dolan's other films are all Play Instant right now. I Killed My Mother and Heartbeats are both on Netflix Play Instant.
Is Lawrence anyways Play Instant?
No, that is not. But again, since I just watched it, I'll send the disc back tomorrow. So I want to say around like Wednesday, it'll probably be Play Instant.
Uh,
And the other thing about this film is it takes place in the early 90s. So you're gonna love it, Adam. Just early 90s in Canada is apparently the 80s in America. So
nice.
it's like the 80s just got to them. in the early 90s, and it's amazing. I mean, the clothes alone, the patterned shirts. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Oh, the jackets, shoulder pads everywhere. It's amazing.
Love it.
You're going to love the look of it. You're just going to lose your shit at every outfit you see.
You're going to love the way you look. I guarantee. All right, let's talk about The Hunger Games Catching Fire. With us, we have Ernie Trinidad back on the show. How are you, Ernie?
I am doing good, Adam. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. We do have a synopsis here. Katniss Everdeen and Peeta Mellark become targets of the Capitol after their victory in the 74th Hunger Games. This is directed by Francis Lawrence, stars Jennifer Lawrence, Josh Hutcherson, Liam Hemsworth, Woody Harrelson, Elizabeth Banks, Stanley Tucci, Donald Sutherland, a bunch of other people in there too, like Lenny Kravitz, he's back. Very brief appearance by Toby Jones. I was kind of wishing he was in it a little bit more, like his character.
Right.
Now, I have a review up on the site for this, so we'll start with you, Ernie. What did you think of The Hunger Games Catching Fire?
I liked it quite a bit. I thought the first one was a decent movie. I liked it for what it was, and then I ended up reading the trilogy after the fact, and as it turned out, Catching Fire, the novel, ended up being my favorite of the three, and so far, Catching Fire, the movie, is my favorite of the two. I think they did a real good job of capturing everything that went down in the book. There were so many elements. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that scene. I remember that scene and that scene, and it all came off pretty well. There's a lot more characters in this one, and it isn't confusing as if you were reading the book, trying to keep track of who all these characters were, because before you know it, they're all dead. But at least in the movie, you get a general idea of who they are.
Right. Well, I pretty much mirror your thoughts exactly. I read all three books before the first one came out because I just wanted to know the whole story before the first one, and I was kind of lukewarm on the first one. I really had a hard time, still have a hard time getting past these young adult adaptations, and I had serious problems with the books, like serious. I thought that the books weren't particularly well written.
Right.
I thought that a lot of the sci-fi elements were really cheesy. I thought the love story was cheesy. I thought a lot of the terminology and the names were cheesy. And it's really hard for me to get past that stuff in the movie.
Right.
But with the sequel, I think that they improved on everything, every aspect of the first one they improved on. I had serious problems with the cinematography in the first one. I didn't like how they were trying to make it almost like an indie like art vibe in the first one, where they would show the scenes in District 12 and everything would be like really gritty and grainy and lacked color, and then they would use the shaky cam nonstop in the first one.
Right.
And I thought that the shaky cam was just unbelievably bad in the first one, and I was really surprised when Francis Lawrence took this series over. He completely changed the visuals. Yeah. And this one looks so much better. I will say that, like, from a visual standpoint, like, all the CG looks better too. Now, this one did have a bigger budget. And I think that really shows. Like, the city, they show...
It was a lot more clearer because the movie and even the book didn't convey well enough that this is a program, this is an arena program, and all this stuff is not real. Like, when they were dealing with those dog things, the first, you're like, what are these things? Where are they coming from? And then it's like, oh, they're programmed. But I can't remember if that was actually shown in the movie or not. But here, you the whole idea is like, okay, there are 12 areas. Things change as time goes on, and you never know what you're going to get. It's like, and they did a pretty good job of really capturing each element. And even though sometimes they don't like dwell on the elements, you right away get a gist of just what went down, and you don't need to spend so much time like with the tidal wave sequence. It's like, you got it, I get it,
right?
Cool.
Yeah, and I just like the tone of this one a lot more. To me, in my review, I compared it to Empire Strikes Back, in that the first one is like the setup, we're introduced to the main characters, we get a gist of how this world works, how it's laid out, and what the big problem is. But in the first film, as in the first book, they don't really delve into the meat of what the story's about. Whereas in this one, they're starting to get there. They're starting to, like, the ideas of the whole revolution are being coming to the surface. Yeah,
because you get the feeling after reading the first book and seeing the first movie, you're like thinking, it's like, okay, that was cool and all, but is this going anywhere? Because I mean, it's inescapable how everyone was like saying this is so much battle royale, and I totally understand where they're coming from, but they're they're similar in a way, but so completely different. But I knew going in, it's like, okay, this has got to be going somewhere, and then finally with Catching Fire, you're like, oh, so this is where it's all leading to. So, and needless to say, you could technically just forego Hunger Games and just go right into Catching Fire, because it's almost like Catching Fire and Mockingjay is its own isolated.
It is, but it definitely helps to know the characters and how, like, who the characters are and their personalities and why they're doing the things they're doing. And that was the one thing that I liked a lot about this one as well. The kind of secondary characters, like Elizabeth Banks' character, Stanley Tucci, Woody Harrelson, like I thought that those characters were way more interesting to watch on screen and more endearing than the main characters. I thought that they were all more interesting than Jennifer Lawrence, and it just felt like in this one they had more to do, and I think that has to do with the script. The dialogue in this one is much smarter and much snappier than in the first one, and it just seems like the characters were way more fleshed out. Like Elizabeth Banks in this one, you could tell she had more of a soul. Like she wasn't just some kind of robot of the Capitol. Like you could tell that she was actually a human being. Like she conveyed emotion in this one, which I really liked. And I was so surprised, because I'm not a huge fan of this series. Like I said, I didn't like the books, and I wasn't a real big fan of the first film.
Right.
But I really enjoyed this movie so much that I was really, really surprised. That I did have issues with some aspects that unfortunately were also in the book. So it's hard for me to blame the movie for them, but like it's just small things, like her costume at the beginning, where it's like the wedding dress and it turns into the Mockingjay thing. Like I just thought that looked really bad and just kind of silly. But I get the symbolism of it.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious.
It worked within the story. I just didn't think.
I mean, I can't remember all the details from the books or not, but with that scene, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the reason why the government went after Lenny Kravitz's character. So,
yeah,
because I'm like, I had a vague recollection that something went down, but like whether or not that's how it went out in the book, I'm sure it must have in some way.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much exactly what happened in the book. And I did have some issues with some other small things, like the one girl that has her teeth filed, and that scene when she like hisses at her. I just thought that was so stupid and ridiculous. But a lot of the kind of cheesy, dumb stuff wasn't in this one. I feel like the first one had a lot more kind of goofy.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more gravitas and weight, because it's basically not celebrating and glorifying the fact that Katniss and Peeta killed or had the hands in helping kill 22 other people, I guess, or something to that effect. And it basically messed them up. And now, but I love the fact that, and I think it was in the book too, that all the other victors who are forced back into the Hunger Games are not happy about it. So
yeah,
it's like, we did this for us. We're not doing this for the government. We're pretty much getting screwed over here. So
yeah. And I like the twists that occur in it. I thought that the way that they handled a lot of the twists near the end was really, really good. And for people that haven't read the book, I almost wish I didn't read the book, because I knew what was coming.
Right.
And I think that if I didn't read the book and that was like a surprise, I probably would have liked it even more.
My main problem with Suzanne Collins' writing style, I mean, I can't cite any examples now because I don't really remember, is that she would skirt over so many things, like saying it's like, and then Katniss went down. 3 weeks later, while Katniss was recuperating, this went down, and it's
Right.
like I would have liked to have read about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so. It seems like film. I remember there being elements in Catching Fire that was like that. It's like, well, can't we flesh that out a little more? That I'm thinking maybe they filled in the gaps here and there, and I'm hoping that's what they do with Mockingjay because I know there were so many plot holes in that one that ended up being my least favorite in the series. But at least it looks like it's really going somewhere and really draws you into make you can't wait
Right.
until part 1 next year. So
Yeah, and that should be noted that Francis Lawrence is doing Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2, and they are taking the third book and splitting it into two movies. I feel like they could almost have split this one into 2 movies just because so much happens. I mean, this movie's just about 2.5 hours long.
yeah.
And they don't even get into the actual Hunger Games until maybe 3/4 of the way in.
Yeah.
And so there's just a ton of stuff that happens, and it didn't feel overly long to me. I wasn't bothered by the length. I was like thoroughly into this world the entire time, which was kind of a surprise. Everything about this was a surprise.
Yeah, it does revisit elements from the first that you'll recognize if you saw the first movie, and then it turns it like when they're like going for their final interview, I guess it was called before the Hunger Games.
Right.
And if you remember stuff like that from the first one, things go differently here, and then the training ground is different from the first one. So
yeah, and they even show some clips from the first one in this one too. There is a lot of exposition in it. I think that it's, for the most part, it's pretty well hidden in conversations that the characters have, and it doesn't feel forced. Yeah. But there is a ton of exposition going on in this one, which also kind of makes it so that if you forget parts of the first one or didn't see it at all, you'll be able to catch up pretty quickly. And I mean, this one to me is so much better than the first one that I would almost recommend just skipping the first one altogether.
You probably have to watch just for context, but one of the things I noted and I really liked, I can't remember if it was in the book or not, was just how heavily they lay it on thick and how the government is manipulating the media.
Oh yeah,
they're giving you what you want to see, but they're not really showing you the whole story. So,
right.
I mean, it's just like when in the opening when Peeta and Katniss come out to greet the fans, they're actually just facing cameras.
Yeah, I thought that was.
There's
that
nothing.
was
There's nothing there. Like, okay, it's like that's what we're coming to. So,
yeah, I thought that was interesting. What did you think of like Philip Seymour Hoffman? He's one of the new cast members. He plays Plutarch Heavensbee, which is one of the worst names I've ever heard in my life. Well, how'd you feel about him, along with maybe some of the other new people that they brought in?
I guess when I knew Catching Fire, the book was gonna be made into a film. I'm like, I never really gave much thought as to who I'd want to see playing these characters. And once they cast them, I'm like, oh, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Okay, that's cool. And I'm like trying to think, okay, which character is that?
Right.
And I'm thinking it's like, and then of course I'm like thinking, cool, they got him for one, but is he committed to all 3? so
I would assume.
Yeah, so questions like that would come up, and then, with Jenna Malone as I can't remember her character's name.
Is that the District 7 one, the tree one? Is that who you're referring to?
Yeah, she becomes an important character. I mean, I don't know these characters well enough to know what they are supposed to look like, but I think they did an adequate job for the key ones. They did a decent job of getting the right people to play the parts. Amanda Plummer was quite good, and who was it that played Beetle? What was that his name? Beetle?
I'm not sure which one. There was Finnick, which was, I think he was the new one. He plays a pretty large role. He was the one with
yeah.
He was I don't remember what I don't remember what district he's from. 11, I think.
Mm.
Sam Claflin is his name. He did an alright job.
Yeah.
Like I said, to me, as far as performances go, I was more into Woody Harrelson and Elizabeth Banks and Stanley Tucci. Like, I thought that they were the highlights.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence as well. They're definitely.
Oh yeah, I mean she did a great job.
I mean, I can't remember too much from the first, but for the range of what Katniss had to go through, she did an effective job. I guess winning an Oscar helps. So.
Yeah, I mean she did a great job. I like Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's great in everything she's in, but the character of Katniss, I just don't like her very much. I just don't find her to be a very likable character. So
well, you could say the same about almost everybody because they all had to kill somebody to get where they are.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Jeffrey Wright is also he's the one that plays Beetee.
Beetee, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was good.
Yeah, he was good. And one of the other things that I noticed they added in this one was they added a lot more humor into the dialogue. I think that there was a lot more, especially with the stuff with Woody Harrelson and Elizabeth Banks, and just even Josh Hutcherson had a lot more like comedic lines to deliver, and I think that really added to the movie for me. I mean, I'm a big fan of injecting comedy into movies like this, and to me it just goes a really long way.
Well, as long as it's not forced comedy, like, and then otherwise
sometimes
it gets the wrong effect.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it doesn't work. Like in Man of Steel, I didn't think any of the comedy in that worked. But
what comedy there was? I thought the whole movie was humorless.
There's a couple things that they tried to add that didn't work, but yeah, like I know that Kevin was not very keen on the first one either. He had problems with like Lenny Kravitz in it, but I told him that in this one, Lenny Kravitz isn't in it that much. He only has a few lines, so people that had a problem with him in it don't need to worry.
Well, it's not the greatest series of books, so I mean, it's just that simple, quick, mildly entertaining reads. So hopefully the movies turn out better, and so far they have.
Oh yeah, I think that probably both movies are better than the books, and they do, like you said, they are really faithful to the book. In this one, they included almost everything that I can remember from the book. Now, granted, there's a lot of stuff I can't remember. I seem to remember that they lingered on that cat in the beginning, the cat that was like
hissing at
her. Like for some reason, I remember they were like really hanging on that in the book for some reason.
Wait a minute. Oh yeah, I do remember the cat. The cat apparently. Now I remember for some reason the cat doesn't like Katniss. That's Prim's cat.
Yeah.
And there's a whole subplot that Prim's cat just doesn't like Katniss and throughout the series or something. No matter what Katniss does for it.
So there's like a lot of dumb shit in the books that they.
So I guess that's a little nod to the fans who would actually remember that. I'm like, I don't know why I just remembered that, but there it was.
Yeah. Well, I don't really think we need to get into any kind of spoilers because I mean there are some big. Well, let's go ahead and do it. Let's just do it. We're gonna go ahead and jump into some spoilers on Catching Fire right now. If you haven't seen the movie yet, fast forward this part. We'll have the time code in the show notes. Let's talk about some spoilers for Catching Fire. The big thing, I guess, I don't think it's a huge spoiler to say. I'm pretty sure they showed in the trailer that Katniss obviously gets back into the games because they decide with their quarter quell, as they call it, which I think is the worst, another stupid term.
Third quarter quell.
That they're going to reuse the tributes from the previous winners, and Katniss and Peeta are back in it, and they form allies with some of the other districts and fight against the careers, as they call them. And basically, as it turns out, there's a big twist that the entire time there was a plot to ignite a revolution within the districts in order to overthrow Donald Sutherland as the president and the tyrannical government that's in place.
Right.
And Plutarch Heavensby, terrible name, is kind of, he's the new game master after they killed the previous one. And he's kind of the mastermind behind all this, but you don't know that until the very end when they reveal it. And he's been working with Woody Harrelson and Finnick and the other girl. What's her name? Joanna?
Yeah, Joanna. And I think a couple of the other Victors are also in on it too.
Right. Yeah. And they basically escape from the games, and there's the end of the movie. It ends with them saying the revolution is going to begin, and
it's the setup, the entire setup that you're wondering where Hunger Games is going, and this is the bulk of what the whole mythos is supposed to be about, I suppose you could say.
Yeah. And again, that's why I compared it to Empire Strikes Back, where when you look at Empire Strikes Back, it's not a complete story. Yeah. There's no, it doesn't end. It's just the entire, everything about that film is build up to the big climax, and that's how this one is as well. It starts with them doing their victory tour, and it leads up, and it just is this great build up to the beginning of this revolution. I'm not going to say anything about the third book because I know that there are a lot of people that haven't read it. But you can see where it's going to be, what direction it's going to be taking, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely no doubt going to be getting darker. Because definitely, I mean, there were like, maybe I just didn't remember from the book or not, but the fact that when they're on their victory tour and they go to Ruse, I think that's what her name was, the little girl's district, and that they were giving their little speech, and then the three-fingered salute. Can't remember what district that came from. I think that came from their district. But then one of the person who started off actually gets pulled away. And I remember from the book that Katniss just watches at the book as the doors close on him, and that was it. But I can't. In this one, the guy is flat out shot.
Yeah, they kill him.
Killed, but I don't remember if that was in the book or not.
I don't think it was. I don't think that was in the book.
And I remember the flogging scene from the book, and, how that kind of panned out. It's pretty much verbatim, I think, in the movie.
Yeah, that's exactly how it played out in the book. Yeah.
But so I'm like, it's definitely things are escalating violently, and I guess even more so with President Snow. I remember in the first movie, I remember them adding Snow in, and I remember him being barely in the movie, and I knew watching it then that this must be needed to help set up the next two, because I willing to bet that I don't think you really actually had an actual full-on sit-down scene with him until the beginning of Catching Fire, the book. So it was.
I don't think so, but I
remember.
Right,
I'm sure he was there to introduce the games and whatnot, but I don't remember them like having a scene with them, like with Katniss or anything like that, or you never really know who exactly this guy is.
Right.
But
I think the scene that they added in the first one was the one where he was talking with
at the end.
I think was he talking with Seneca Crane? Was that the other game master that they ended up killing?
Maybe, yeah. I think it might have been alluded to at the end of the first one. Again, spoiler if you've never seen the first one, where Seneca Crane ends up getting killed. So, but,
yeah.
I think that was only alluded to in the book.
And I think that, they do show a lot of the beginnings of the uprisings and stuff, and I'm a little hazy on what happens. Like, the second and third books, I read them back to back, so I'm kind of mixing the two of them together in my head, so I don't really remember if there were things that happened in the books that were not in this movie, but it might have been, like, in the third book. Yeah. But the way that they portrayed the uprisings in this film, I'm pretty sure that that's pretty much exactly what happens in the second book. And and then things, you can tell in the movie that things are beginning to escalate. And when the third book begins, things are escalating even more. And I don't want to delve into that just yet.
Yeah,
but what I'm wondering is...
It did tease District 13 quite well. I don't remember how it unfolded in the book, where they go through a tunnel, and they're like, wait, where are we? And then they come out of the tunnel, and then they see a sign that the tunnel's labeled District 13. So it's like...
Yeah, that's... I think Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
At the very end of this movie, they say, "Oh, we're going to go to District 13." So at this point, we can assume that there is something happening in District 13.
Yeah.
But I don't think they didn't show District 13
in
the movie.
In the movie, they just go through a tunnel, and then they come out of the tunnel, and it's like, what was that? And then they see a sign that said it was District 13. I'm like, oh, okay. I kind of remember that little nod to it in the book.
Mm-hmm.
As for Plutarch's turn, if you read the book, obviously it's no surprise. But I think in the movie-wise, I guess they handled it well.
I think that they did a pretty good job because
it seemed like maybe it was like vague as to what his plans were. Obviously, he was trying to look like he was trying to take her out, but
yeah,
you get the sense that he had his own agenda. So
yeah, you always get the sense that he has his own agenda from the very first time they meet at that party, because you can tell that he's up to something, but you don't know what his motives are. And I don't think that they even hint at the fact that he's actually a good guy. I think that they pretty much convince you that he's a bad guy from the beginning.
Yeah,
but
I think they might have played their hand just a little bit with the throwaway line where when he's dancing with Katniss and they're talking about the president, and then the one line he says is like, "You inspired me to come back." So I'm like, and then right off the bat I was thinking, oh, okay. Yeah.
And he also said, "I'm sure we'll meet again," too. So maybe that was a little hint at what was to come. But I think that the scene when he was with Donald Sutherland and he mentioned the plan where he's like, okay, show something good and then show the floggings and then show something and then show like the other terrible things that they planned on doing in the other districts. Like to me, that kind of, by that point, I think that viewers that haven't read the book would be like, man, this guy's a dick. But yeah, so I think that all that was interesting, and I think they handled it really well.
Yeah.
Any other spoilers before we just jump out of this?
Well, as far as I know, there is no added scene at the end.
So I didn't stay for the credits, so I don't know.
It ends just as it does end in the book. I guess the only spoiler would be that there is no ending. So
yeah, there is no ending.
It's basically actually kind of funny. I don't know why I just thought of that. It kind of ends in a odd way to Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah,
you're on a bed, on a face, and ends it, but doesn't end with a to be continued. But I think you got that general idea.
No big deaths in this one either. Like nobody dies that is a surprise, really. I mean, like a whole bunch of the tributes die, obviously, but nobody really big.
Right.
I guess they allude to the fact that Cinna is going to be killed, but they don't outright show him dying. So I guess there's still hope that he's alive.
Yeah. But they've related so thick that the bad guys are so bad that you just want them to die in the worst way. So hopefully they actually deliver with Mockingjay, because I remember with Mockingjay, I thought it ended rather lacklusterly.
Yeah, it did, but it is a bloodbath. I will say that. I'm really curious to see how they're gonna get away with the PG-13 in the last, because I was so surprised the last book.
The last book was surprisingly violent.
How violent they got with it.
Violent was almost on the level of the novel Battle Royale, not the movie Battle Royale, the novel, and the novel was very violent.
Yeah. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to handle that, because when you read the third book and it gets into the actual revolution, and I don't think it's a huge spoiler for the third part to say that things come to a head. It does get very violent, but it's supposed to be, it's war. It's supposed to be hard and violent and dark and gritty, and I'll be very curious to see how they handle that in the film, if they want to keep the PG-13. I also think that I don't really understand why they're splitting it into two parts other than a cash grab.
The immediate guess would be that they consider the book too big to do in one movie. I mean, technically, I think it is the longest book in the series.
I feel like so much more happens in Catching Fire, though.
Yeah, but I'm guessing that because there are elements that they want to flesh out in the third book, that, like I said, that Collins just kind of like skirted over. Maybe that's the reason why they
Well,
need to
I hope that
split it
is the
up.
case. I
Yeah,
really do hope that's the
but I
case.
do remember that I never saw the Breaking Dawns, and I was kind of like laughing at the fact that the first movie was just over 2 hours, maybe like 2 hours 15 minutes, and then the last movie was under 2 hours long with credits. I'm like, yeah, that was the Harry Potters are 2.5 hours each, so
Hmm.
that made sense. But here, you made this could have been a 1 3 hour movie. There was like obviously that was a cash grab.
Yeah, yeah.
So
All right, well let's go ahead and jump out of spoilers. So we're back. Ernie, final thoughts on Hunger Games: Catching Fire?
Um, a definite improvement over the first film, just like the second book was. It'll definitely whet your appetite waiting for Mockingjay, which rolls out over the next 2 Novembers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, even for non-Hunger Game fans, there's a lot to like. There's decent action and some interesting conspiracies going on in this movie. So,
Yeah, I think for people that see, this is a film series that is really easily kind of poo-pooed by people, like just like me, for instance. I was initially very hesitant to even want to see this movie along with the first one, like because it's just I'm not a big fan of this young adult stuff. You know, it's not something that's marketed for me, for my demographic.
Yep. Oddly enough, though, I would say I was actually more eager to see this than I am to see Desolation of Smaug.
Well, see, that's the other thing. I haven't seen any Lord of the Rings movies. I saw
Really?
the first one, but I fell asleep, so I don't count it. And I haven't seen The Hobbit, so
Yeah,
it's
I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I thought it was like one of the finest trilogies ever made, and was so looking forward to The Hobbit, and it let me down massively. So
yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
what I hear.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll see him when I see him, but it's just not as exciting as it was.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that the success, because this movie cleaned up at the box office, but it's also getting very high marks from critics too.
yeah, there was like
so
87 or higher.
it's
on
89
89
right now on
Rotten?
Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a huge success, and it's going to make. I think I read that Lionsgate stock rose 24% because of the reviews on this
Wow.
one. So they have themselves a pretty big winner here. They did Twilight too, didn't they? Lionsgate.
Yeah, Twilight was done by Summit, but Lionsgate bought Summit.
Lionsgate.
So,
Lionsgate owns Summit.
Yeah, so I think they're kind of in good shape, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, I gave Catching Fire 8 out of 10. What are you sitting with on this one?
Yeah, that's where I'll be 8 out of 10 on this one.
There you go. So, Hunger Games: Catching Fire in theaters now. That's two solid recommends. Go check it out. And I think that the first one is on Netflix instant, if I'm not mistaken. So I'd watch that one first and see the second one. Just know that the second one is better. That's all I say.
Yeah.
Just the second one's better.
Things will get better. Just give it time.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that'll wrap it up, Ernie. Thanks so much for taking some time to speak with us.
You're quite welcome.
Let's talk about some predictions. Last week, Hunger Games: Catching Fire. I said 80. You said 79. Actual 89.
Wow.
Hunger Games: Catching Fire. Catch it.
I was going to say the same thing. Jerk.
Delivery Man.
Dude, wait. The Hunger Games Catching Fire is 2 hours and 26 minutes long.
Oh, it's a long one, buddy.
Oh, fucking crud.
It's a long one, buddy. A lot happens, though. A lot happens.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
It's not. It's
Alright.
It doesn't feel that long, but it depends on how into the story you are.
Is Lenny Kravitz in it again?
He is, but not that
Son
much.
of
He's not in it that much, though. You don't need to worry about that. He's only in it for like one or two scenes, and he has not a lot of dialogue. So
that's good.
Delivery Man, I said 36, you said 34, actual 35. So
Oh,
that's a tie.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
How did we do that?
It's rare that I don't know if we've ever tied
I don't
on
think
a
we have.
prediction.
I
That's
don't think
crazy.
that's ever happened.
Philomena, I said 87, you said 82, actual 90
Wow.
on Philomena.
Wow.
Next week, we have a bunch of stuff coming out because of the holiday.
Yay.
So some of these come out on the 27th, and then some of them come out on the 29th. We have Frozen. That's the new... Is that Pixar or is that just Disney? I think it's just Disney.
I like how they don't even try with titles anymore. Frozen.
I'm not so sure about this one. But because it's Disney, I'm gonna say it's probably still gonna be favored. So I'll say like 85,
I'm gonna go 81.
81 on Frozen.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 81.
Old Boy, Spike Lee's Old Boy.
Oh my God, yes.
I'm really excited about this. Now, Ernie had a chance to see this like a long time ago, but he has pretty much refused to tell me anything about it. So, which is what I told him. Like when he first saw it, I was like, I'm probably going to ask you about certain things and don't tell me anything, even if I ask.
Oh
And of course I have asked like several things.
And he's stuck to his word that he's not gonna tell you?
Yeah, he refused to tell me everything. So I thank him for that. But we do have an interview with Josh Brolin that's going to be up on the site this week too. So be sure to check that out. What are you thinking on Old Boy?
I'm thinking, man, I don't even know what to think.
I know it's a tough one.
I want to say like 72.
I'm going to say 76 on Old
I've-
Boy.
I have no interest in seeing this at
I
all.
do. I want to see it. I just
It's
want to
one-
see.
It's one of those things that I'm like telling myself that it doesn't exist.
I'm really interested.
I'm
I'm
not.
hoping that I heard that the main thing, and you can hear this in the interview. Josh Brolin said that the hammer scene,
hmm
they still did it in one take, and it's a lot longer. It's like 3 times longer than in the original.
I do like, I don't know. Like you tell me all that, and all I think of is, oh, I want to watch the original Hammer scene. Like I don't give a shit about someone redoing a scene that I've already seen before.
Well, apparently it's not like shot for shot. It's not a shot for shot remake. They have their own spin on it. I'm just hoping the end is different because that was the thing about the original one, right? Like that ending was so shocking, and I mean, at least I didn't see it coming at all. Like I was just
That's
like,
so.
holy crap.
I just have a. I don't know. For some reason I just can't get over it. Like all I think of is, oh, I'm going to watch the original Old Boy because it's already amazing. I don't want to see white people doing it. Just watch the original.
I think it'll be interesting to see, and I like pretty much the whole cast, and for the most part, I like Spike Lee's stuff. So
I don't necessarily like Josh Brolin.
I do. I like Josh Brolin.
I think I liked him in like one film.
No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, and that was like iffy.
I think he's pretty great. All right, home front: Jason Statham, James Franco.
Uh,
I'm
40.
gonna say 40.
Dick. I'm gonna go 42. I hope it lands at 41. Be
Yeah, me
great.
too.
I'm
Actually,
I'm gonna see if we can get like a string of these going.
Mandela: Long Walk to Freedom. We will have a review for that up the day
This-
that this posts.
I was into this trailer until the terrible YouTube music hit.
I'm not into this.
Have you heard? Have you heard the soundtrack? For
Yeah,
this?
it's bad.
It's fucking terrible.
What are you thinking on this one?
Oh, thinking like a 54.
For some reason, these biopics just never work out, do they? They
Rarely.
just don't work out.
They rarely do.
I think that this one will probably be rated higher, so I'll say 79. What did you say? 54?
54.
And finally, we have The Punk Singer, which is going to be limited release, as we mentioned. Video on demand releases, only 2 to note next week. We have Beyond Outrage, which
Yes.
I'm pretty excited to see. Like, I remember talking about this on the show, the first one, and I think we were both kind of like, it was like pretty good,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. But this one, the trailer came out for this one, and this one looks like it's definitely ramping up the violence and the action.
Yes.
Looks like there's something involving a drill, so that looks pretty exciting.
I'm always interested by drill play.
Yeah, of course. And the other one is The Truth About Emmanuel, which I actually don't know anything about. DVD and Blu-ray releases. I only have a few to mention here. Red 2, Jobs, The Canyons, and Getaway. Now, I saw all of those except Getaway, and, they're all pretty...
They're all meh.
Well, The Canyons is horrible. That was one of the worst movies, maybe the worst movie I've seen all year. Red 2 was just kind of meh,
Meh.
and Jobs was also meh.
Meh.
But I know
What
you
about-
have a big Criterion.
What about the Grandmaster?
Oh, I didn't know. I
Wong
didn't see that.
Kar-wai. I want to see that.
I
didn't
didn't
get a
see
chance
that
to
on the
see that.
list. Yeah, I want to see that too. I'll be watching that.
There's also an animated film called Wolf Children. That sounds amazing.
Wolf Children.
Wolf Children? How are you not interested by Wolf Children? Are you
course.
serious? That actually looks... Oh, it's from the director of Summer Wars. Follows a young woman who falls in love with a wolf man and gives birth to 2 half-human, half-wolf children. Sign me up.
Sign me up.
Everyone go out and buy Wolf Children as soon as possible. The Criterion happens to be a Zatoichi the Blind Swordsman box set, which this thing is ridiculously gorgeous and consists of 27 discs.
Is that DVD or Blu-ray?
It's a dual format.
Oh, so it's both. Wow.
It's both of them. I mean, just looking at the picture, like the actual box set itself, just the artwork
Yeah, it
that
looks
went into it.
amazing.
Oh my god, it looks unbelievable. 25 Zatoichi films from 1962 to 1973. That's insanity.
Get it.
Get that shit. I mean, it's only $179 for 25 films.
Yeah, for 25 films, that's not too bad.
And I mean, just like the attention that went into the box set itself to only charge $180 for that, that's insane.
Yeah, plus it's Criterion, so then you know that there's going to be tons of special features and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, you got documentaries, you got interviews, you got a book. Comes with a book. It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that'll wrap it up. For all the latest film news and reviews, visit us at filmpulse.net. Send us an email at feedback@filmpulse.net. Follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet. And be sure to rate us on iTunes. We appreciate that very much. For filmpulse.net, my name is Adam.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you on Thursday for Ryan Watches a Movie.
I've never heard of this. Or maybe I have. Truth about...
I want to leave that in. Ryan,
Please do.
we're
Please do.
recording.
Please